it's Wednesday and we're back with another video. What are we doing today?
So the big news from this week, Afrikaners, or the so-called Amerikaners, have finally left for the USA.
Americana.
The Amerikaners. But before we get into all of that, let's just check out this clip first.
Yeah.
And then you tell me what you think.
49 Afrikaners have just boarded a private US chartered jet out of OR Tambo, the first group to be granted refugee status under the Fast Track program by the US administration. Now, in case you've missed it, it's called Mission South Africa, and it was created to resettle Afrikaners who say they're being persecuted under the Land Expropriation Act and discriminatory race-based policies. So in just 3 months, over 8,000 people applied for refugee status, mostly Afrikaner farmers. Of those, only 100 were selected for now. Now you see, this group of 49 that left last night included entire families who were quietly escorted through OR Tambo under police supervision. Now you see, they expected to land in Washington later today, where the US has provided them with housing, phones, food, clothing, the full relocation package. Now supporters say that this is a long overdue recognition of racial discrimination in South Africa. But critics, including the South African government, are calling this a politically motivated move that misrepresents the country's laws and institutions. As for you though, what's your take? Is this a justified intervention or a political stunt dressed up as humanitarian relief?
So what are your thoughts on all of that?
You know what? I don't want to sound pessimistic or like I'm bitter or anything, because one, I am very happy for them. I'm really happy for them. I'm an advocate for people. If you're not happy in a place, leave. Leave. Like, don't withstand the abuse. You know, like if it's really not working out, leave. They're very unhappy, and for whatever reasons, like, we can poke at them, we can point at them as like, oh, you this, or you this, you racist, you intolerant, you this, you this. That really doesn't matter, you know, at the end of the day. At the end of the day, they're humans and they've made this decision for their own peace of mind, and I'm happy for them.
So a couple of things to note here. I've been watching Americans' reaction to white Afrikaners coming over to America. So there's a couple of things to note about this.
Okay.
Firstly, there's some Americans pointing out that Trump's administration is racist.
Yeah.
Solely because he stopped the refugee program altogether.
And he's making an exception for a purely white cause.
Yes.
In case you're wondering whether there's any racism in the Trump administration, consider this wild fact. So you know how they've basically stopped anybody from coming to the United States claiming refugee status? Well, they've decided to put an asterisk on that, and they're going to allow 8,000 South Afrikaners to come here as refugees. Those are white people, by the way. So why are the white South Africans allowed to be classified as refugees and come to the United States, but a refugee from El Salvador is not allowed to, or a refugee from Panama, or a refugee from Peru? Why aren't they allowed? Well, I'll give you it's one thing. They're brown, those South Africans are white.
They only want white people here, because when we think about refugees who need immediate resettlement, expedited screenings, we usually think about people who are fleeing extreme violence, persecution, famine, war in places like South Sudan, Myanmar, the Congo, not white Afrikaners. See that chartered plane the Trump administration is sending? It's not going to collect refugees that have been sitting in resettlement camps for years, fully vetted, waiting to come to the United States to escape violence. No, it's going to South Africa to collect white people who claim they're being discriminated against.
So I guess on TikTok, it's not okay to say, as an American citizen, that I don't want Afrikaners from South Africa who claim they're being discriminated against, which is fun considering the legacy of colonialism and apartheid that they've participated in for decades and decades. But I think it's hysterical that I can't say that I don't want them here in the U.S. I don't want them here in the U.S. I see all kinds of anti-immigrant stuff here, but it's interesting because the anti-immigrant stuff is an anti-white immigrant, which is probably the difference maker. But yeah, I'm not allowed to say that I don't want these racist, bigot, shithead, Dutch, colonialist bullshitters in my country, because I don't.
Because there are terrible things happening in many countries, like real terrible things, where they don't actually step in and come to this level of aid. It's been proven so many times that these people's lives aren't really endangered like that.
The interesting thing here is that, like, again, Americans are pointing out that this is a display of racism from the Trump administration. That they're letting in white refugees, where there's very little to no evidence that they're being persecuted and they're being targeted. And even the South African government is refuting this. Cyril literally came out many times to say this is not true, but they don't care anyway.
As we speak, 49 white Afrikaner refugees are on their way to the United States. They will be received by the government of President Trump. What is your reaction to this?
Well, we've raised our own concern because those people who are being enticed to go to the United States do not fit the definition of a refugee. A refugee is someone who has to leave their country out of fear of political persecution, religious persecution, or economic persecution. And
that's what the United States says they're undergoing in South Africa. That's why they've opened the door for them.
Yes, and they don't fit that bill. They don't fit that description. And I had a conversation with President Trump on the phone, and he said, what's happening down there? And I said, President, what you've been told by those people who are opposed to transformation back home in South Africa is not true. And I added to him, I said, we were well taught by Nelson Mandela and other iconic leaders like Oliver Tambo on how to continue to build a united nation out of the diverse groupings that we have in South Africa. We're the only country on the continent where the colonizers came to stay, and we have never driven them out of our country. So they are staying, and they're making great progress. It's a fringe grouping that does not have a lot of support, that is anti-transformation and anti-change, that would actually prefer to see South Africa going back to apartheid type of policies.
The second thing is that if you the other Americans who are responding to this as well, and some are saying that the Afrikaners that are coming in here are not going to have a good time. A lot of them are going to struggle.
To all of the South African Afrikaans refugees that are coming to America soon, I just want to let you know, as someone whose wife is Afrikaans, who's been to South Africa multiple times, you're going to have a bad time. There's no white genocide happening in South Africa. You have crime that's happening as a result of racism-fueled generational economic inequality, the same thing that's happening in America. We're just a couple decades ahead of you on the unchecked capitalism timeline. But I have good news for you. You don't have to worry about the cheap exploited labor rising up against you anymore, because now that you're in America, you'll get to be the cheap exploited labor. If you were middle class or upper middle class in South Africa and you come to America, you're poor now. Like, really poor. You're not going to have maids and gardeners and personal servants that you can pay $15 a day for. Now you get to be the cheap labor. But by all means, please come to America and experience the American capitalism that Elon Musk's been raving about to you. You'll probably love it. You know, what do I know? There's probably very little chance that you'll end up going back to South Africa in a year or two after realizing how overpriced and fucked up America is. I wouldn't even worry about that as a possibility. And if you think I'm being mean to these people because I think they're a bunch of racist, bigoted colonizers who wish they could go back to apartheid South Africa, it's just because I do think that. But to them, I say, welcome to the American dream. Please let me know when you've woken up from it.
They know the situation that they come from a privileged environment.
That's what I'm saying.
And they're going
to be nobody, basically.
There's even this one American that said that, no, these white Afrikaners are gonna come work for black people in America.
Y'all, don't worry about these white South Africans coming here. They about to be the new help. You heard me. They are about to be the new help. They got rid of all the people tending the land. All the immigrants that were tending the land are gone. So what they about to do, replace them with the white South African workers. Y'all gonna be working to feed black folks. As y'all should. Get y'all asses over here and do y'all goddamn job. Y'all think y'all getting away from us. Y'all not. Y'all just gonna be working for us.
And I don't think they understand that I don't think they understand that.
So a lot of Americans are pointing that out as well, that it's not going to be a nice time for them.
Yeah.
They letting go of the privileges that they have in South Africa to go.
They're going to have to work at the Walmarts and whatever's and, well.
So like, the problem with that is that once you are a refugee, and you go to a country as a refugee, the country that's hosting you cannot send you back. Cannot send you back to the place where you're being persecuted, right? That's international law.
Sense.
Yes.
Why are you trying to go back to it?
So technically, the Afrikaners that are going to the US cannot come back.
Oh my god.
They cannot, unless they drop their refugee status and be like, okay, we're no more refugees.
Yes.
I want to go back home. No. So they cannot come back.
Yeah.
The US cannot allow them to come back to South Africa once they've accepted them in. So
I don't see this working out for them there. Like maybe theoretically it might work out, like, you know, but them in terms of like integrating in those communities and living, I don't think it's gonna work for them. Like, I think we're the only, not only for them but for the people around them as well. Like, I don't give them long until the people around them also be like, nah. And then also them feeling like, damn, no. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think our Afrikaners in South Africa can live without feeling superior. I don't think they can exist like that. Like, this has been now, because they've been here for a very long time. They don't know how to exist in any other way. You know what I'm saying? Even post-apartheid, they've been existing that way. This is it's imprinted in them so deep. You know what I'm saying? How you think they're gonna they can get there and treat the black people there the same way they treat black people here?
And so we have a situation where so far only 49 have gone. Yeah. But we know we know that most of the white people that can actually go to America as refugees will not take up this opportunity.
Yes.
Because
and the ones who are loudest about it also not actually going.
They will not take up this opportunity because they know that they will be giving up their very privileged status in society.
And that's a big thing
to go be refugees in another country.
I mean, think about it.
So all those white Afrikaners that actually own land, that actually
they're not going.
That are actual farmers.
They're still
that are earning that are the top 1% earners in the country, that have all the privileges. They are not going to America.
They're not going.
I think personally, the people that are going to America are the few white people
that don't have much.
Yeah, that don't have much.
That don't have much.
That are struggling in society.
In fact,
and they see this as an opportunity to go live in a better country and have a better standard of living.
Absolutely.
Those are the only people that are going to America right now. But the actual privileged white people that we keep talking about every day,
they're the ones that will even say, no, help us solve our problems here at home.
Yes, which is what AfriForum is saying. AfriForum is saying that, yes, they're grateful for the people that are going, but we want to stay and solve our problems here at home. Those are not people that are being persecuted. Yeah. Those are not refugees. Refugees have no choice but to flee. Like, they have no choice. These are white people that have a choice. They can stay or leave. That's not refugees. And there are some people actually debating are they actually refugees or not. Like, these people have a choice to stay or leave.
If you have to debate it,
yes. If you even have a choice, you're not a refugee.
You're not.
Refugees are people.
Would you like to leave?
Yeah.
It's people that they have no choice. Everything of theirs is either in ruins. They don't have anything.
Do or die. Like, it's either if you stay, you die.
A life and death situation. Yes. Like,
those are
the longer I stay here, the more like, you know, I'm gonna die basically.
So, yeah, that should tell you all you need to know, that white Afrikaners are not refugees. They're not being persecuted. This is all just funny, and most South Africans are happy that the ones that want to leave are leaving. Yeah. Like, the more that leave, the better actually.
Clearly, you don't want to be around us.
For a lot of us,
because you're not good energies.
A lot of South Africans feel like we don't want people to stay here and further perpetuate racism.
Yeah, we want
further perpetuate division. Yes. Further just fuel all this animosity that we currently have in South Africa. Like, if you want to go, you can
Go.
And those that want to stay and help build the country can stay. Like, nobody is chasing you. But if you don't want to be here, it's fine. Like, we're happy that you're gone.
I'm just glad that this is helping us weed out some people at least.
So in true South African fashion, you know, South Africans like to joke about everything, that even if it's serious.
Yeah.
So South Africans came out with these terms for these refugees.
Okay.
You know, the first one, Amerikanas.
Yeah.
Then they call it the Great Futek. Or the Great Futekers.
Yeah.
You know, these are the first Great Futekers.
Oh my gosh.
So
not the Futrekkers, but the Futekers. No, that's horrible.
So in true South African fashion, we're sending you off, Futek, do your Great Futek, and never come back. We're still gonna build our nation.
Yeah.
Together, with or without you.
Absolutely.
But yeah, let us know what you think about this whole situation.
Yeah, let us know.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
And keep watching. Goodbye.
We'll check you guys in the next one.